Hello, my friends. I am the Dungeon Tutor. Welcome. Today we're answering a question for RPGaDay. It is the 6th day, and it is the 6th question. Today the question is, favorite game you never get to play? Now see, I am a forever game master. Almost all my gaming experience is running games for people. I rarely get to play. And I'm not complaining. This is on my own. I could definitely just say, you know what, I'm not running games. Somebody else has got to run a game, and I can get in both of my groups somebody to do that. Matter of fact, that happened this year. In my my one group that was playing through Dragon Heist, I got kind of frustrated with the game, and I actually said, I'm tired of Dungeons and Dragons. You guys want to get through this campaign? Fine. But I'm going to burn this to the ground. We're going to run through it at a blistering pace. We'll probably be done with the entire campaign of Dungeon of the Mad Mage, the sequel to Dragon Heist, in, I'm thinking, about 3 to 6 months. Skipping whole levels I don't feel like running, and we're just going to burn through it. And they prevailed against me from doing that because they say they like their characters. Even though they don't engage with the storyline that much, they see the potential and the power of the characters because they made some very strong characters and have some very cool stuff. And they just want to see how big this whole thing can get. And I'm like, okay, fine. They want to race all the way to 20th level. That's fine. But they eventually prevailed on me. And my friend gave me a 4-session break while he ran Star Wars, the role-playing game, the D6 system with West End Games. And I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed it tremendously. And it recharged my batteries to the point where I'm not going to burn that campaign to the ground. But once it's done, we are not going back to 5th edition D&D for a long time. All of the warts for that game were on full display. And I'm very tired of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons when I have so many different options. So many good games. Likewise, we were playing in my other game, playing the Red Star Rising campaign, which is again 5th edition D&D-ish, but the characters are a lot more narrative and players are a lot more engaged in the story. But we take a break because they're really heavy, they're really emotionally tense, and we ended at a huge cliffhanger moment. And I wanted to do something else before we tucked into another chapter of it, so we took a break and one of the players stepped up and ran Star Trek, the Last Unicorn Games role-playing game of Star Trek. And with that, I had another 2-week gap of not having to run a game and getting to play and enjoy being a player. Despite the fact that the Last Unicorn Star Trek game has some serious flaws, we still had a good time because my friends enjoy Star Trek, and it was fun. The game master is relatively experienced with game mastery, but he's a good storyteller, and we had fun. So, I have gotten to play. It's not that I don't get to play, but it's not very common. I can run for a couple of years before I get a chance to play, and have. At one point had a stretch of, I think, like 5 years without getting to play at all. So, yeah. For me, I like to run, and sometimes I even get to run the games that I like, but there are some games that I love that even I don't really run all that often. Despite the fact that I'd like to, it's just my players get far more excited about other games, like Dungeons & Dragons, clearly one of the winners. But also, with their memories of other games that we've played, there are other games that they get more excited about, like the different World of Darkness games from White Wolf back in the day. I love those games too. I really do, and I've told some fun stories with those. But I want something else. I've run another one they like, Shadowrun. For all of you Shadowrun haters out there, bah, first of all. And second of all, I can tell some really fun stories using Shadowrun. My players enjoy the freedom to be proper bastards. They enjoy the tech magic fusion and the ability to just skirt the law and do crazy things, but still get to be the good guys of their own story. But this particular game that I really love, and I would love to play, I desperately would love to play. Actually, I've got two, and I'm going to bring them before you. The first one is GURPS. This is the second role-playing game I've ever owned. It has, in my mind, one of the finest simulation systems out of any role-playing game at all. This covers everything. It is the everything game. You can do anything in GURPS. There's a rule book or a source book that can give you more details, but even just with this core book, you can do anything in a role-playing game. And that is incredible. You can go and run a game like Star Wars. You can run a superhero game. You can run a martial arts kung fu drama. You can do anything with this game. I absolutely adore this game. And I like how all the things that you want to do follows a very simple system of rolling 3 6-sided dice and just going, do you hit this number? Do you not? And it's simple. It makes so much sense to me. Now, as your skills go up, it's just, it widens the game. It makes so much sense. It's a great game system. Now, that being said, there are its detractors. It is a slower plotting game system without the feeder bar endorphin rush of leveling that you get from other games, where you hit a plateau and ding, you get all your stuff better. No, GURPS is like real life. You get a little bit better the more you do things, and you get better and better and build on skills and skills and skills and skills. It is not a fast-paced game, but it represents and simulates how life works, and I think that's really cool. I don't even care really what genre we'd play. I just want to kind of play with this system. But again, nobody I know runs this game. I love it, but nobody else seems to. And every time I try to run this game, something happens. It always ends up getting sabotaged and gutted. One time I tried running a superhero game. That got gutted because the characters were just too complicated. Admittedly a weakness. You really want specialization, and I had a bunch of people who really took into the system and pushed it as far as it could go. It's fine. I wanted to see that, and boy did I get to see it. I ran another game, which I thought would have been kind of this neat post-apocalyptic magic hits the world thing, and it died because of players just being crappy to each other, and some people left because of jobs and head case issues and stuff, and it just fell apart. And I'm sad for that, because I thought that would have been a good game. I had some fun ideas for it, and I've not been able to run this game since. If I wanted to run fantasy, and I didn't want to do D&D, I have the Dungeon Fantasy box set. I could tell a pretty good story using that if I wanted to. Still might feel like something fairly familiar, but you'd have the growth that I appreciate, and the sanity of this system would just make sense and make it work. But do I think I'll ever see it? No. I mean, yes, I could put my feet down and say the next game we're playing is a GURPS game that I've got going through my head. One of the like 15 of them that I'm imagining. Sure. But you need the players to buy in on it. I don't want the players to pass on it and give me a half-hearted effort because they aren't crazy about the system. So this has languished, even though I've got a nice selection of source books for it, which are great reading, by the way. The source books are excellent material, even if you're not using GURPS. They've got all kinds of great ideas, and yeah, some crazy ones too. Fantasy 2, ooh, that's a rough one. But yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite games. And I haven't had a chance to play it. The other one that I'm going to throw out there, again, love to play it, never going to happen, like to run it, need just the right group for it, is Monty Cook's Invisible Sun. Oh boy. I picked this game up at the digital version, so I don't have the thing I bought in front of me, which is why I don't like digital all that much. I like to show what I have, but in this case I bought the digital version of their black box. The black cube was a neat idea that at the time seemed really expensive to me, which is what stopped me from getting it. But it's this crazy idea, and I mean the core idea wasn't that crazy. We're all living here in a shell when actual reality is magical and cool, and an invisible sun, you can break out of the real world and go back to being your magical you. Even if it doesn't look like you, it's you exist on another place, and this is just the shadow. This is just the gray. It is a lie, and this existence is actually fake, and there is more out there in a magical universe if you could just get out. Great idea. Fantastic. It's been done before, but it's great because no other game has ever committed so hard to that idea. The other world is just bizarre. It is a Dali painting of reality. No. It goes beyond Dali. Dali can't even imagine couldn't even imagine some of this stuff. It is so out there, and they bought in with great art. Some of which, if this had taken place during the heyday of AI art, that would have been just crazy stuff. And some of the crazy stuff I see in AI art, I'm like, oh boy, that's going to end up in Invisible Sun if Monty doesn't commit to using actual artists. And that seems to be the vogue thing for companies to do, but it's only a matter of time before some just decide that's part of the budget they don't want to spend, and they use their mid-journey instead to get there. Someday that'll happen. But, that being said, Invisible Sun looks like a fantastic game. An amazing premise. System, pretty cool. Each type of magic works differently than other types of magic mechanically. Rather than being simple and everything just working the same under a unified system like everything else, this one literally doesn't. You have Vancians who actually have a puzzle or a grid for their brain, and they stuff in spells into it to make as much magic fit as possible. It just brilliant and insane. Other ones do other things, but it was just that's one that's the most arresting visibly. Other ones weave together disparate magics to make their effect. So it's really reliant on the threads of magic that they have access to, which is similar to Mage, the Ascension, or certain aspects of the GURPS magic system under GURPS Magic. Has stuff like that off of keywords and magical elements, which they touch on. It doesn't have a lot of mechanics because it's hard to put a mechanics to that kind of system. It looks phenomenal. There's a part of me that longs to play an Invisible Sun, or even longs to run it. I could be satisfied living vicariously through players playing a game of Invisible Sun, and I even belong to a group which doesn't post very often in Invisible Sun on Facebook, just like trying to enjoy their experiences secondhand. But I don't think I'll ever get a chance to play it. I mean, getting closer to 50. It's an out there game. Even though I have the digital version, if I'd known about this, I probably would have saved that $100 and gone and tried harder to go out there and find a used copy of the Black Cube. Because there's some elements in it that just can't be replicated off of your photocopier, your printer. So, stuff that you just can't find out there. The Sooth deck, for instance, is a key part of the game, and they're round cards, and those aren't easy to get a hold of. They don't even have any at Monty Cook Games, so it's like, once they did their Kickstarter and satisfied their Kickstarters, they didn't have a lot of extra stock left to sell, so finding it now, it's rarer than Dragon's Teeth, and I've been trying for months. So yeah. But I can settle myself with knowing that I can run the system, and the world is amazing. Will I ever get a chance to play it? Probably not. But that's just how it goes sometimes. I console myself with getting a chance to play every now and again when somebody wants to play, just like most people. But getting to run what I want to, I do have a group for that. That helps me out and allows me to go through some of these games that I have that otherwise would be really hard to do outside of a one-shot at a game convention. So, that's my story. It's not that sad. It's, I long to do things just like most people do, and some of my games are a little abstract, but hey, we have dreams, right? any rate, that's my experience, and you're welcome to it. If this has helped you at all, I am glad. Maybe you never heard of GURPS, or maybe you never heard of Invisible Sun. They're both worth checking out. Although Invisible Sun is really high concept stuff that not everybody will enjoy. GURPS, however, I think is something more people would enjoy if they just get past that stupid reputation of it being so complicated. It's really not very complicated at all. And yeah, that's about all I have to say about that. So thank you for joining me. I am the Dungeon Tutor. If you like this and you haven't liked and subscribed already, well, maybe consider it. I would appreciate it. If you know anybody else who's like, hey, you know, what, I've been gaming forever. Gosh, you know, maybe link this video for them so that they can share that experience and know what somebody else is feeling, because it might be just like what they're feeling. But I do hope that you come back for more videos, because I'm going to be doing this every day through August. So, until the next time, my friends, I hope that you, yes, you, get a chance to roll some dice, play some games, have some fun, and stay safe out there. Until next time, farewell.